Hi everybody, I'm Catherine with the Cumberland River Compact, and today we're really excited to be taking a virtual field trip with you through some information about the Cumberland River and some of our streams as well. The Cumberland River Compact is an organization that works to protect the Cumberland River as well as all of the small streams and tributaries that make up the Cumberland River watershed. Now, do you ever think that maybe you've seen the Cumberland River before? Now, this is a bit of a trick question, because I'm actually standing right here on the east bank of the river in Nashville, where the Cumberland River is right behind me right here. You may have also seen the Cumberland River in Hendersonville near Old Hickory Lake, or even in Clarksville as well, and a lot of different places. The Cumberland River is a really long river, and to tell you more about the river and its importance, we're gonna send it over to my friend Alex.
So like Catherine told us, the Cumberland River is super long. Do you have a guess for how long the Cumberland River is? Good guess. It's 687 miles long. That's huge. And something else that's really important about the Cumberland River that all of us should know is that it's where we get all of our drinking water from. So all the water from your sink and all the water from your shower, any water that you use to cook or drink, that's all from the Cumberland River. And it may seem like this Cumberland River goes on forever and that it has a ton of water that we may never run out. But think about if that water got dirty and we weren't able to use it anymore. We might not have as much as we thought we did. So let's head inside with Catherine and she'll tell us how much water we actually have to use in the Cumberland River.
All right, so let's see how much water we actually have on Earth. So here, you've probably seen this before. It's the Earth, it's a globe. And when you look at it, there's one color that you see a lot of, and that's blue. And that blue, of course, is water. Water in the oceans, water in our lakes. So let's imagine that we take all the water on our Earth right here and we put it into this container. Now this is about 1,000 milliliters of water. This is all the water on Earth, all the water in the oceans, all the water in the lakes, all the water in the rivers, all the water in your toilet bowl, all the water on Earth is right here. Now, can we use all of this water? We said earlier that a lot of the water is in the ocean. And what kind of water is in the ocean? Salt water. We don't drink salt water, it'd make us really sick. So let's take the salt water out and just see how much water we have left. We're gonna go from about 1,000 milliliters down to only 30 milliliters of water. And this represents all of the fresh water that we have on Earth. And that's about 3% of all the water we started with. Now, when we had all this water, we were feeling pretty good, like we had a lot of water on Earth, no problem, we were gonna be fine. Now, we have very little left. But wait, we can't even use all of this water, because what do we have at the top and at the bottom of Earth? We've got ice sheets, we've got glaciers, we've got water that's frozen. Can you take a shower in ice cubes? No way. So we need to get rid of some of that frozen water as well. And about 80% of our fresh water is frozen. So we're gonna take all that water out. That much. Now we're down to just 6 milliliters of the 1,000 milliliters that we started with. And that's about 0.6% of all the water on Earth is fresh water that isn't frozen. Now wait a minute. Can we even use all of this water? We can't, because unfortunately some of this water is polluted and it's yucky and we can't drink it and we can't use it. So now let's see how much water we have left. Now this is kind of the super science part, so you gotta pay really close attention. Let's see here, I'm gonna get it ready. It's about that much, that's it. You maybe barely even saw that. It's only one teeny tiny drop of water that we have left. This is all the water that we need. So we started with over 1,000 milliliters of water and we ended up with just one teeny tiny drop that we can use. So even though it seems like we have a lot of water on Earth, it's really important to make sure we're protecting it all.
Thanks, Catherine, for telling us all about all the water that we have in the Cumberland River and how important it is to keep it clean. And something that you may not know is that the Cumberland River is made up of a ton of tiny streams and some small rivers too. And those all connect to the large Cumberland River that you see behind me. And all of those small streams, rivers, and the Cumberland River make up what's called the Cumberland River Watershed. And a watershed is where all of the water that drains in from those land and the streams that drains into the Cumberland River all drains into the same place. And you can see on the screen, this is how big our Cumberland River watershed actually is. It's pretty large, and you can see that not all of it is water. Some of it's land too. And so to make sure we're taking care of our Cumberland River, we also have to take care of our land as well and make sure we're keeping any litter or pollutants off of the ground so that they can't drain into our Cumberland River. So we gotta make sure we're taking care of it. Let's check in and see what we've learned. Let's go head out to the stream and explore.
Hey everyone, now we are here at Browns Creek, and this is a small stream that runs through Nashville right here in Davidson County. So like we were saying earlier, it's all of these tiny streams that make up our Cumberland River watershed. And so this water right here in Browns Creek eventually flows to the Cumberland River that we were just at. So we're gonna spend some time exploring Browns Creek today to see what different critters we can find and teach you a little bit more about our stream. All right, everybody, now I'm next to the stream here and I'm gonna practice some of my observation skills. So one of the first things I do is I just sit really quietly and I listen for what I can hear. So we're in a pretty urban area, so I hear some noise in the background, but I've also heard some birds. And I've also been hearing the stream in front of me, the babbling brook, so they say, right in front of me here, and all the noise of that water. And then I ask myself questions like, I wonder why these rocks are different sizes. I wonder what might be underneath that rock right there. This stream reminds me of somewhere else I've been before. And I start to practice my observation skills. Next to me right here is a really, really important part of our stream. And this is what we call the riparian zone. And the riparian zone is like the superpower of the stream because it helps protect the stream. So if we went outside on a cold winter day in nothing but our bathing suits, what would happen? We'd freeze, right? We'd get really, really, really cold. And so we need a coat when we go outside. Well, the riparian zone acts like that for the stream. When it's cold out, it helps keep the stream and the animals inside of the stream a little bit warmer. It also protects the stream and the water in the stream from any of the yucky pollution that might be on the land. So by having a nice riparian zone, that pollution like extra oil or dirt or litter gets trapped in the riparian zone and doesn't end up making it into our water. So the riparian zone is really important, and it's great to see right next to this stream that we've got a nice, healthy riparian zone. So now I'm going to show you a quick and easy way that you can explore your stream. First, a good place to look is under all of the rocks that you see. So if you move a rock, the most important thing is to put it back where it came from. You don't want to take it out and build a structure or a sculpture on the side. You want to keep the rocks in the stream where they are, because that's habitat. It's part of the ecosystem for this stream. So for example, I could look and I could pick up this rock, see if I see anything underneath it, maybe even on the rock, I see a little snail right there. I can take a look and then I can put that rock back right where I found it. And I want to make sure I'm using as many of my senses when I'm observing as I can. So of course I can use my eyes and I can look to see if I see any critters moving around just in the water. I can touch things and see how they feel. This one's kind of slimy. It's got a little bit of algae growing on it. But obviously I don't want to taste anything, and I want to make sure everything I find in the stream stays in the stream. So I'm not going to pick it up, put it in my pocket, and take it with me. And just make sure when you're out exploring the stream that you are careful about where you're putting your hands and your feet, because you never know what you might find in the stream, so you want to be extra careful. Now we're going to show you how we collect a lot of the critters from the stream, and we can see up close at what we're finding.
Right, everybody. So today we're going to learn how to kick net. So the things that you're going to need waders just like these that are going to keep us nice and dry in the water. And they also have big boots to protect our feet. And you're gonna need a net just like this one. And this kick net is special because it has this flat line here on the top so that it can go into the ground nice and flat. And then it also has this kind of screen door material here on the back of the net. So when you put it in the water, all of the water will go through, but anything that you catch, like any little critters or leaves and rocks, are gonna get stuck inside the net so that we can see all the different things that we caught. So when we do that, we're gonna put our net right here in the water, nice and deep, and then we're gonna kick the rocks to kind of get any of the little critters that are hiding underneath the rocks. That's where they live, so that they can be safe and protected in their homes, and then they also have water to keep them alive. So we're gonna see if we can get them out of their homes, just like this, and then we're gonna kick the rocks, and then we'll check and see what we found and put it in our bucket. So this bucket is pretty special because down here on the bottom we have kind of a screen door type material, just like our net, that lets water come in through the bottom. So any critters that we catch and put inside this bucket still have enough water so that they're able to survive while we collect them to see what we found. And then we also have this white bucket right here. And this is where we're gonna put our critters once we collect them so that we're able to see nice and clearly what we caught. And we're gonna make sure that we have just enough water in here so that our critters can stay nice and healthy, but they don't escape. I think that's a dragonfly.
Oh, nice.
Whew, what a day. You stay there, buddy. You do not escape. Nice. That's really cool. While we were exploring in our bucket, we found a lot of really cool things. And in order to be able to see them a lot clearer, we put them in this white tray so that we can see everything really clearly against the white background. And so you can see right here, we found a crayfish, and you can see all of his little legs and his pinchers, his big pinchers on the top. And we also found a dragonfly larva. So dragonfly live in the water for up to 5 years before they fly around outside the water like we're used to seeing. And this is what they look like while they live in the water. And we also found right here an aquatic worm. And aquatic worms sometimes can live in water that's not so healthy, but it's also important to have them in any kind of ecosystem. And we found a lot of other really cool things that are still inside of our bucket, but we're keeping them there to make sure they stay nice and healthy.
After Alex kicks in the stream, there ends up a lot of sediment or dirt downstream of where she was. And so this is something we don't want to do too often because sediment is actually the #1 pollutant in our streams and rivers. All of that dirt, if there's too much of it, can smother a lot of that aquatic life. So it's important that we only come out here every once in a while to assess the stream and see what we find so that we can maintain the habitat and the ecosystem here. So you might have noticed when Alex was heading out to check where she wanted to find some critters in the stream, she was looking in a few different places. One of them we look for is called the riffles of the stream, which is this area you see right here where that water is moving. And this is where a lot of those critters end up living because that movement of the water adds a lot of oxygen. So just like you and I need oxygen to breathe, the animals that live in this water also need oxygen. So obviously in their case, it's dissolved oxygen, it's oxygen that's in the water. So that movement helps make sure there's a lot of oxygen in there for those critters. They also find a lot of places to hide. So you can see that there's a lot of rocks in these areas, a lot of rocks of different sizes. So we can notice what we're seeing out here in the stream and understand why they might be living in those different areas. Now you might be asking, what about along the edge of the stream? I wonder if any critters live over there. So right along the side is another great habitat for these critters because they have different areas that they can get into and they can be protected from predators and from the elements as well. Let's take some time to observe our stream and answer some questions as we're taking a look. First off, what do you notice? I notice that there's a lot of big rocks along the side of the stream and then a lot of smaller rocks in the middle. Next, ask yourself, What does this remind you of? For me, this reminds me of a stream that I used to see by my house. It looks really similar. I also think the plants on the side look really interesting, and those are actually a little bit different, and they don't really remind me of anything I've seen before. And finally, fill in the blank on this question. I wonder, ... Thank you so much for joining us on this virtual field trip today. We had a great time learning about the Cumberland River, the importance of our water, and checking out some of the cool critters that live in our streams. We wanted to give you 2 more pieces of information for you to do when you're out exploring. First, if you want to learn about the biodiversity and the wildlife near you, you can use the app iNaturalist or Seek to make observations and learn more. And of course, if you head out to a small stream or river, it's a great opportunity to help make it clean by picking up any litter you find. You can bring a glove, trash bags, and a litter grabber as well if you have one. Collect any of that trash, and you can even recycle some of the bottles and cans that you find as well. We've had a great time being with you today. We can't wait to see you all again, and we hope you have fun exploring. Bye.